This is the story of the Buddha, chapter 3. Now, before we start the story today, it's really important to do something special with the kids. We need to lay out their homework assignment for this lesson was to try to figure out basically the question of how can we be happy? How can people be happy even when terrible things happen in the world, like sickness and old age and death? So they should have done some work asking parents, coming up with themselves, maybe interviewing each other to kind of come up with ideas for this. I recommend maybe sending them home with 3x5 index cards to actually write answers on. And then when you start the class, or kind of segue to this this activity, the big spiral history activity, give them or have them bring up these cards, read them, and maybe categorize them. Maybe have everybody read theirs out loud, and then try to categorize them. I expect that some people will give answers like, "Oh, like the thing to do to be happy is to trust God or to pray more often." So you'll get some religious answers. You'll get people who say, "Oh, like you should believe in yourself," or "You should treat each day like it were the last day of your life," or I don't know, something sort of romantic-y, sort of hippie like that. Some people, I'm hoping, maybe will say like, "Oh, you can't do that. Like, we shouldn't ask for happiness," or whatever, right? So you'll hopefully have a whole bunch of diversity of answers. Hopefully the kids have had some conversations with their parents that make them realize that their parents don't necessarily know the answer to how to be happy, which, I don't know, if all their parents do know that, then why are they at school? I don't know, just, I want to hang out with those parents. So you'll be talking about that. Okay, so then you remind them of the story, you retell the first 2 chapters of the story, and you end with this question of Siddhartha under the tree. He's decided to stay there. He's decided to think about the questions there, the question of how to fix suffering forever, how to become happy. And he's decided that he's either going to figure this out under this Bodhi tree or he is going to die trying. And then he sits there for a long time. And then he looks up and he stands up. And he walks away. What did he figure out? What did he discover? All right, so he walks away. He finds his friends, these friends that he had left, that he had abandoned earlier. They're still really ticked off at him. When he tells them that he had figured it out, he'd figured out how to be happy forever, they don't believe him. They just laugh at him like, "Yeah, okay, tell us." And this is what he told them. He said, "We are unhappy because we want things. So, stop wanting things." And they're like, "That's it?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's pretty much it." And then they noticed something about him. He was smiling. He didn't used to smile. And he wasn't smiling like wildly, like, "Woohoo, yay, I figured out everything, and the world is only peaches and cream, and right?" It wasn't like that sort of like super excited smile. It was like this calm smile. This, I'm going to fail at this. I don't know. Look at the maybe picture of the Dalai Lama would be a better image than what I just tried to do there. You can't fake that. But he hadn't been smiling before. He hadn't been happy before. It's not just that he had figured out some sort of theoretically abstract, yes, this is the correct answer to what will solve unhappiness forever. It wasn't a theoretical thing. He had actually done it. He had stopped wanting, and he discovered that beneath wanting, he was happy. And they saw that, and they thought that they wanted to be that sort of happy, calm too. And so they asked him, can you become our teacher? He said, "Yeah, I can do that." And so he became their teacher, and they became his students. And for the rest of his life, he wandered around that part of India teaching people about not wanting. And they followed him, and they helped him. His students loved him, and he got more and more students until literally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people followed him. Some of this was after his death, but there was actually a good long period where Buddhism, the religion that was founded on the teachings of Buddha, was one of the most populous religions in the entire world, and it happened pretty quickly. his students ask him what they should call him. They don't think it's appropriate that they should just call him by his first name, Siddhartha, or Gautama, as a maybe more historically accurate first name for him. That doesn't seem respectful enough. Some people actually ask him if he is a god. And he says that he's not a god. He's just a person. But he said, it's like I was asleep for my whole life, and I only woke up when I stopped wanting things. So you can call me the person who woke up. And so they did. And in their language, Pali, the way that you say the person who has woken up is Buddha. So that's what people have called him ever since then. The Buddha, the man who woke up. And that's the end of chapter 3 of that. Note that that's actually a much shorter story than the other ones. The point then is to get kids talking about their answers from the last question about how to be happy. And then that's at the beginning of this. And at the end of this, to get them talking about what they thought about the Buddha's answer to this, about not wanting things. This is not, if the kids come away thinking, oh yeah, this is clearly, obviously the answer to life, the universe, and everything, I think we have not done our job. I think the kids need to really wrestle with this. It is not clear to me, after having thought about this a lot, that this is the correct answer for living happy. Though I'm still thinking about it. It has legs. It has potential. I think there's, at the very least, incredibly useful advice in this. So some questions that we can ask the kids from this are to list out what are some things that they want, maybe that they want right now. List those all out. Maybe categorize them. What if you stopped wanting to pick one of these things? Would you be happy if you stopped wanting it? For some of the things, I'm assuming the answer will clearly be yes. If I stopped wanting to hurt the person sitting next to me, then I wouldn't be angry so much anymore. I don't know if they want to hurt the person next to them. I have this issue when I'm stuck in traffic. I want everyone around me to be dead and just to maybe before they die clear a path for me to go through. And obviously that belief, that feeling of wanting is not helping me at all. And it's not helping any of the other thousands of people who are stuck in traffic with me. We can ask them whether wanting something has ever made them feel bad. We could ask them if you had to give up wanting one thing, what would you give up wanting? What would you stop wanting? And you could also ask them from the other perspective, if you had to give up wanting everything except for one thing, what is the one thing that you'd keep wanting? You can ask them, is there anything that you should want more? And then maybe we could ask them, how would you want fewer things? If you actually wanted some things, if you wanted to want things less, how would you actually go about doing that? That'll be the theme of tomorrow's. One note, in the story, I'm making up the he was smiling part. At least I think I'm making it up. I guess I'm making it up. Maybe it's there. It's one of the original documents. I just don't know about it. I haven't read the original documents. That's embarrassing to state, but there you go. It's really important, I think, that you put that in, though. The danger of the story, the way the story is usually told, is of a theoretical philosopher. The Buddha is a theoretical philosopher who comes up with like this idea that will change everything, and it's not embodied. But the point of Buddhism, insofar as a lot of people understand it, I think maybe almost everybody who actually practices it understands it, is that it's not just this theoretical set of instructions, it's an actual program to be followed. It's sort of a type of therapy, and you have to do it, and it should change you. And usually when the story of the Buddha is told, we miss the fact that he was changed. So the climax of the story isn't that he figured it out. It's kind of the climax. The climax of the story is that he figured it out, and he did it. He stopped wanting things, and it was changed as a result.